What's up, YouTubers? Today I'll bring a deck profile on the new Narukami deck that was supported from GBT 12 Divine Dragon King Awakening. I believe that's the name of the set. And then from the new set Ultimate Shrine with the Zeros Dragon. During the set 12, I didn't really have time to do any testing and stuff, so I wasn't able to bring this up. But with set 13, we got the Zeros Dragon, so I could bring this up anyway, since Zeros Dragon is a Dragon Empire. So, for starting Vanguard, we have from the set 12 Drago kit. In my opinion, this is the best starter they could make for Narukami right now, because it really helped with Thunderstrike. It even helped with other deck that's not Thunderstrike based deck, since a lot of card you use in Narukami right now requires Thunderstrike, and some of the old stuff old type of deck cannot do Thunderstrike on its own, like cannot bind from drop zone. Not really, like Descendant, their whole point is not to bind, so they can't really do that. With this new starter, it helps a lot. So first skill is Rest Itself. Your opponent choose one card from their drop zone to bind it face up. If they cannot, you could choose one of your unit, gains 3,000 and countercharge 1. So it helps you to give your resource back if they cannot bind. It also boosts up your opponent, boosts up your unit. Second skill is Counterblast 1, Thunderstrike 4. You may put this unit into your soul, and if you do, choose one of your unit gains 3,000, and then your opponent choose a card from their board to bind, to retire and bind. So you get rid of one of your opponent's unit on the field that you don't want. The difference between the skills is that second skill could choose any unit. First skill, you could only add it to unit with Thunderstrike ability only. So the 3,000 it's restricted with Thunderstrike only, but second skill is anything you want, so it's not that big a problem. Then moving on to grade 3s, we play 4 Dragonic Vanquisher Sparking. Sparking, I would say, for Vanquisher, it's actually one of the good grade 3. First skill is Thunderstrike 4 at the beginning of your right phase. You could countercharge 1 or soul charge 1, and then your opponent choose a card from their drop zone to bind it face up. So it helps you to set up a Thunderstrike right away. And second ability is Counterblast 1. When your unit strides, you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent choose one card from the drop zone to bind it face up. And if the strike card has Thunderstrike ability in it, you are allowed to you're about to choose your opponent's rear guard and then retire bind. So it's an instant 2 right there, which is pretty nice. You have you to set up Thunderstrike 7 really fast. So that's why I like it. Compared to the old Vanquisher, which we still play 2 in this deck, you don't have to play this card. You can play, I would say, Descendant, a new Descendant, because after some time of Shy, if you run out Shy, you could use that to do restand attack. But then I like this because I want the name if I really don't get Sparking. Even though card doesn't really matter because they all have Vanquisher in their own name as a Shy. But I just wanted to have the name as 3/3 if you cannot Shy the turn. But that's pretty much it. I will never use the skill unless I really write this card as a grade 3. So first skill is Counterblast 1. When you shy a unit, you could choose one of the opponent's unit in the front row and retire bind. Second skill is GB2. Basically, when your opponent's rear guard is put into the drop zone this turn, you could gain 5,000 and a crit. That's all it does, so that's why I never really want that as a Vanguard. I want Sparking. Then moving on, we'll play 3 10K Vanilla. Vanillas, they're good as a grade 2, since right now, grade 2 game, a lot of people like to pressure a lot, like push for a lot of attacks. So this help you to survive some of them at least, because if they are 14, you hit a trigger on the first damage, you are at 15 base, so they cannot run over you. Then moving on, we play 4 Chadara. I really like this unit. It's best rearguard Narukami ever got to me. Skill, even though can attack rearguard, but skill is this is 11k attacker, and if it hits, you can counterblast 1. Your opponent choose one unit from their drop zone to bind face up, and then you draw a card. So you get a free plus of a card, and then you set up a Thunderstrike as well. I like this unit a lot because it also helps you with the starter. They combo really well. So let's say early game your opponent actually let it hit, and then you draw a card. Next turn you could rest this. If your opponent has no card in their drop zone, you get a free counter charge. So basically you use no cost on this to bind one and draw one, and then you can also gain another 3,000 on your next turn. So it's pretty good. Then moving on, we play 4 of our new grade 2 from the set. This one's really good as well. So skill is when this is being targeted or is attacked by your opponent, if you have a Vanguard with Vanquisher in the name, this skill will trigger its ability, which your opponent shoots a card from their drop zone and bind things up. So it's a defense bind, I would say. So your opponent won't really attack on this if they know that they cannot you cannot really set up Thunderstrike that turn, and then if they attack they get an extra you get to set up a Thunderstrike. They won't really touch this. Second skill is Thunderstrike 5. Pretty easy for this deck now, I would say, because of starter and grade 3's strike skill and the first ability. Then at Thunderstrike 5, this unit gains 9k, so become an 18k attacker, and you could do a counterblast 1, which if you have a Vanquisher Vanguard, you're allowed to attack a second unit when you attack your opponent. So it's a double attacker. You can attack 2 units at once, which is pretty nice. Because it's really handy. You can attack back row as well, so you could get rid of anything you don't want on your opponent's board. That's a really good grade 1. Like blast attack, you don't want them to have Bargo on the board, so you get rid of it. Next we play 2 dragon, only 2. You can play the other one if you want. The other one is GB1, I believe. It gains 2,000 for each bind on your opponent's bind zone. I played this one because this with a GB1, it helps you to bind another card. Second, you could always count with Thunderstrike 4. You could just counterblast 1. This unit does the same thing. Also gains 2,000 for each bind card your opponent has. It's a counterblast. It sounds heavy, but in this deck it's really not, because you have starter, your Vanguard to countercharge. So it isn't really that big a deal with a counterblast. And then most of your strike doesn't need counterblast anyway, so it's okay to pay the cost for it. Then moving on to grade 1, we have our 4 new PG. This PG I feel is better in this deck other than the countercharge, because with the new supports you don't really waste any counterblast, since you get to countercharge back really quick. So playing this will be better, because at Thunderstrike 4, when this unit plays on Guardian Circle, you're allowed to draw a card. So basically you didn't pay a card cost for the nullify. Since all PG need to discard a card to nullify the attack, this Thunderstrike 4 allows you to draw one back, so you didn't waste anything. But it depends on what you draw, so the chance might be different. You might draw a grade 3, which is kind of useless for you, but kind of good for you. Depends, it's optional, but that extra card always helps. Then moving on, we play 4 Smash Boxer Dragon. So Boxer Dragon has 2 skill, which is both GB1, but first skill is continuous. When this unit boosts unit with Thunderstrike ability, and the whole column cannot be targeted by effect. So which means if you play against an Kagero, they try to deny Griffin you, they cannot do it. So it protects the roll for that attack. So which means if you stack the trigger on it, your opponent cannot destroy the column. Like Kagero cannot do it, like Mirror Match cannot do it, but on their turn they can still get rid of it. Second skill is GB1 at Thunderstrike 3. After this unit boost, you may pay the cost, and if you do, you put this unit into the soul, then you draw a card and countercharge 1. So it's also a countercharger and give a card to your hand, so it's not that bad. It helps you to gain resource to your hand and also countercharge. Like I said, that deck doesn't really need counterblast, since you already have 3 cards that could give you countercharge back already. Then moving on, we play 4 Strike Father. Strike Father is there for Shy and to get Sparking if you don't have it in your hand and you have original Vanquisher. Then we play 2 Dragon Dancer. It's like Swordbreaker do the same thing, so pass 1 to draw a card. But the difference is that this is Thunder Strike 2, and whenever it plays on rearguard, you can pay the cost. It's not like Swordbreaker had to be from the deck. That's a good part, but you need to have Thunder Strike 2 for it. Then moving on for triggers, we play 4 of Narukami, Vanquisher crit. Vanquisher crit is just there for the power and draw, I guess, and the soul. Nothing much to say about crit. Then we play 3 stand trigger. Stand trigger does the same thing as a. What stand trigger does is a counter charge. It also helps you to recover, so you don't really need that much of. You don't need to worry about your cost at all. So skill is GB1. Put this unit on top of your deck when your opponent's unit is retired. Put it into the drop zone. You may pay the cost, and if you do, you shuffle your deck, and then you draw a card, and also counter charge 1. So basically, you don't lose the stand trigger, and you get it back to the deck. You don't lose your hand, I would say, not stand trigger. Other than that, nothing much to say about the stand. You only need 3 because you don't really need to counter charge, and you hardly swing with rearguard first so the stand trigger you don't rely on it. So then you play 5 draw trigger. Hand is important in this deck because this deck, like, I feel like all Dragon Empire does the same thing. Kagero needs more draw than crit. They do more pressure, but their hand's weak too. So the draw trigger helps you to gain hand, which is pretty nice. Then moving on, I play 4 heal trigger. Still the fighter collection one, not the new one, since we probably will see Narukami in set 15 for G format right now. But as of right now, this is the one we play, which skill is when you're G guard with the cost of the specific G Guardian, you could pay the cost by Soulbox 1. If in your damage there's only 1 or less face up in the damage zone, you could by Soulbox 1 you could counter charge 1 back. So it gives you a second cost, but you hardly would does it because you will never run out of counterboss unless you counterboss 3 or 4 in 1 turn, which is not possible. It rarely happens, but sometimes you do. So there is a slight chance you might activate the ability, but hardly. Then moving on for strike, we play 4 voltage. So voltage is actually I would say opening strike and a finisher as well. So opening strike you just flip 1 for the GB2. And it will be nice if you hit the attack. If not, you don't get anything. So if it hits, your opponent choose one of their rearguard and retire it. And then you choose 2 cards from their drop zone, bind it face up. So it's an instant Thunder Strike 2. And then also GB3 ability, which during your turn, all of your unit in your front row gains 2,000 for each card in your opponent's binding zone. So the more you stack, the more power your front row gets. That's why I said late game is a really good finisher. Then moving on, we play 4 V-Buster. So V-Buster is actually really good as well. I would say this is your main pusher. It could be a finisher as well. Has 2 skills. So first skill is optional to use. You don't have to use it unless you really want to get rid of your own board or you want to set up for Thunder Strike 7. Skill is once per turn you can Soulbox 1, flip a copy of itself, and then flip a card in your G zone. It doesn't have to be itself, I believe. Yeah, just flip a card. It doesn't have to be itself. So once you flip, your opponent choose 1 card from their board and 1 card from the drop zone and bind them face up. And then if your rearguard's more than your opponent, choose up to 3 units in your front. Choose up to 3 unit in your front row gains 3k. So you could choose the 3k to 1 unit in the front, all 3k to 1 unit. So basically that's a 9k plus to a unit. Or you could just spread them out for each unit. Second skill is GB3 Thunder Strike 7. This all your front row gains 5,000, and this unit gains a crit and a drive check. So it's a card drive with a critical. It's like similar to what Gensela does, but Gensela is completely, I would say, free with a counter charge. This one requires Thunder Strike 7 at least, but still good. Then moving on, we play 1 VMAX. VMAX, I would say, is also a finisher. So, GB3, Thunderstrike 5, Counterblast 2. After this unit attacks, if your opponent doesn't have any rearguard, you can pay the cost, and if you do, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So, even if your opponent's a 5, your opponent does have rearguard, you could just deal 1 damage to your opponent if you know your attack will not pass. Just use this to give your opponent damage. Second skill is, for each Vanquisher you have face up in your G zone, this unit can attack an extra unit. So basically, by having all of these face up, you can attack your opponent's whole board, but hardly you will use it because your opponent's board usually will be wiped out anyway, or I would say at least half wiped out, so you don't really need all of them face up. It will still be a finisher. Then moving on, we play 1 Zeros Dragon. Zeros Dragon, it's also a finisher. You won't really need to use it, but it's good to have it because there is time you might want to use it. So in order to get this out, your G zone must have 3 units face up. That's the first condition. Second condition is that you have to use the same card as your Vanguard to strike for this unit. So that's why it's called Ultimate Strike. So if you have Sparking face up on your Vanguard, you need to discard a Sparking in order to get this to strike this card. So skill is when this plays Counterblast 2, when this plays on Vanguard, you could pay the cost. If you do, retire all of your opponent's board, including Vanguard. So everything's wiped out. And then your opponent choose 3 cards in their hand, 2 to discard and 1 to put on their Vanguard. So they lose 2 cards to guard and they have to rewrite a new Vanguard. If they cannot do that, they choose a card from their soul to stay on Vanguard. And if they are still unable to do that as well, you automatically win the game. So basically, there is a win condition to it, and then you could just beat your opponent for the win. But if your opponent survives a turn after you use this card, all of your G zone's unit will be removed from the game, except itself, the Zero Dragon itself. So you will still have a GB1, but you will lose everything else. You cannot G guard, no more shy. So you just regular deck with GB1. Then we play 1 GB8. This is also a finisher. So skill is when this plays on Vanguard, both players' rearguard is retired. So both players' boards wiped clean, and then everything in both players' drop zone is bind their face up. So both players lose everything in drop zone as well. Then it gains a secondary skill, which is during your turn, all of your unit in your front row gains 2,000 for each card face up bind in your opponent's drop zone, bind zone. I mean, so by removing the whole drop zone, you gain a lot that turn, so it's kind of finisher as well. Then moving on for G Guardian, we'll play 2 of our fighter collection 1. So skill is GB1, G Guardian flip. So by flipping a G Guardian, you could trigger a skill, which is your opponent choose one of their unit to retire, so they lose a unit right away. And then if your opponent's unit is 2 or more than yours, your opponent chooses another unit to retire. So basically, it wipes 2 units if you don't have a board most of the time. But it doesn't really stop the attack. The card doesn't really gain power. But most of the time, your opponent will retire the card that they're attacking with, since they want to have a column standing for the trigger. So usually it survives it. Then moving on, we play 2 of our new G Guard. I really like this card. It's super free in my opinion, because all it does for the skill is to bind 2 cards in your drop zone with different grade face up to the bind zone. This unit gains 10k with a shield. So it's a free 25k shield in my opinion, and then that's all it does. Then moving on, we play 1 more G Guard, which is the Dragon. So Dragon has some ability, which first ability is Thunderstrike 4. This unit gains 10k for free, as long as it has Thunderstrike 4, which is pretty easy to trigger. Thunderstrike 3, it's pretty easy to trigger, just 3 card to bind, not that hard. Second ability is that after this unit was put into the Guardian at the end of that battle, for each 4 card face up in your opponent's bind zone, choose a unit in rest position and retire it. So it helps you to wipe the board after the attack. So as long as you can survive, you can wipe your opponent's board. So there you guys have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and I will see you guys next time.